Ever wonder why you can dominate at the workplace? You can close deals, you can handle deadlines, you can handle teams, you can do negotiations. But when it comes to your relationships at home, when it comes to the matters of the heart, matters of love, you feel like you're failing. Today, I'll show you the three patterns that drives this and also the simple steps that you can take starting today so that you don't just win in your career, in your workplace, but you also win in love. Stay tuned. Growing up, we're made to believe that success at work is going to create this success in every other area of your life. And you and me, we know that's not true, right? Oftentimes, success at work is just an overcompensation for a lack of success in other areas of your life, like your health or your relationships. And the things that we learn to do in order to be successful in our careers is a lot of times it's different. It's a different kind of skill set than what you need to be successful in your relationships. For example, being hyper responsible, being always there, being super dependable. I mean, this is fantastic in the workplace. But depending upon how you show up at home, this could lead to feeling disconnected, feeling resentful with your partner or with other people in your family, or just, feeling like it's never enough. I've seen this happen in my own life. I was in a relationship with a very, very loving woman, and this woman, she craved connection, like all women do, but she really, really, really wanted to be number one in my life. And it became very, very apparent to me that for me to be able to give her the kind of connection that she desired, I needed to have a switch where I get off work mode and get into relationship mode, get into home mode when I get back. For a long time, it was difficult for me to do that. It caused a lot of friction, a lot of fights in our relationship. It's something that I learned how to do. I'm going to show you how you can do that as well. So here are the three most common loops, common patterns that I see in people who are ambitious or high achievers who are doing really well in their career. So the first loop is an over provider loop. So what is this? This is a pattern where you just keep giving, 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 giving. You become the source of everything in your family, whether it's money, whether it's attention, whether it's love, and you're just giving. Problem is that you're having a hard time receiving. You have a hard time asking for your own needs to be met. Now, things are different, when it comes to the business world, when it comes to your world at home. In the business world, you give value in exchange for money. And sometimes it's just easier to ask for money. Sometimes it's not. But for a lot of people, hey, this person is a client. That's the nature of this relationship. However, at home, this person is a family member. This person is my mom. This person is my dad. This person is my lover. How do I ask this person for something? I can never ask. I am the giver in this dynamic. That is a loop that I see happening very often, especially with the helpers. The second pattern that I see is like it's called the peacemaker loop. And so the peacemaker loop, these guys are like exceptional at work at handling conflicts. Like they're probably the people who've been stable in a company for a long period of time. People go to them for advice. They're part of all the meetings, and generally they can just do a great job at bringing things together and maintaining peace in the environment. Problem is that when they get home and they take the same kind of attitude back home and they use the same kind of pattern back home, they also assume the role of the peacemaker in their home environment. And the problem there is that you don't get a salary for doing that. You don't, there's nothing you're going to get in return. So if you want something in return, you have to ask for it. And the ones who are maintaining, who are always, who assume the role of maintaining the peace, the last thing that they want to do is assert themselves, because that they believe could destroy the peace. And so that's another pattern that I see in high performers and achievers when it comes to relationships at home. So the last kind of loop, which is extremely common, is the performer loop. So these are the kind of high achievers that are absolutely brilliant. They go in and they close deals. They have huge, social networks at work. People know them. If they need to get funding, they can go and do it. If they need to overshoot their targets, they will go like all in to make sure that they do that. Like, these are your star performers. This is you. Congratulations. You're probably smashing it at work. But when you come back to home, and number one, you're not even there for a lot of the time because you spend so much of your time at work. But when you are at home, number one, you'll bring your work back. Number two, if you don't get the same kind of validation at home that you're used to getting at work, you're going to get extremely upset. You're going to be confused as to what the hell's going on. And you start feeling unseen. You start feeling like you're unimportant. You start by maybe ignoring your relationships at home to focus more at work, where you get the kind of validation that you're used to, that you like, that you thrive on. So that leads to even further disconnection when it comes to your relationships at home. So you can think about all of these patterns and these loops like armory that you're wearing. So imagine you're in your castle, your home, and you're going out to the war, which is, your career, your office, to achieve, to make money, to gather resources for people back home. That's what you're doing. You're wearing this armor, and you go outside, you do your thing, and this armor is these patterns that we just talked about. When you come back home, you're still wearing the armor, and you don't take it off. The people at home, your partner, your husband or your wife, they can't feel you, right? Imagine you're still wearing that suit of armor. How are they going to be able to connect with you? This is where people start arguing with each other. You don't care about me. You don't love me. You don't pay attention to me. The truth is, this is going to cost you more than just a few arguments. It's going to cost you intimacy. It's going to cost you trust. It's going to cost you your health, at least. I mean, to name a few things. The quality of your life is the quality of the relationships that you have with the people around you. And imagine if you don't have any intimacy with your partner. Maybe you don't. Imagine if there's a lack of trust. Imagine there's a lack of connection. Imagine that you just don't feel ready to take your armor off when you're back home. What would that cost you? And would you want to be with somebody like that? Imagine if your partner also had their own armor on. Maybe they do. And maybe they've got their armor on because you've got their armor on, because now you've got the battle that was being played out outside, that's supposed to be outside. There's a version of that battle going on at home. And two partners are wearing their own suits of armor because they're afraid that the other one might hurt them. It's hard to believe. But when I've coached people who are some high level professionals who can go out there and smash it, absolutely smash it at the workplace, but they find it so difficult to come back home, sit face to face with their partner, look them in the eye, and have an honest and truthful conversation. They haven't had one. Some of them haven't had one in years. So the truth is that the same skills that make you amazing at work, they are not going to help you in love. Love doesn't need your resume. It needs your presence. What makes you a high achiever at the workplace doesn't make you a great partner at home. You can't KPI your way into intimacy. You can't negotiate love, not true love, not true connection. The same patterns that serve you in the boardroom, they're going to starve you in the bedroom. Well, here's the 3-step process that I use with my clients. Step number one, catch yourself in the act. What does that mean? Become aware about your armory. What is the pattern that you play out? What's the loop that you're stuck in? If you don't know this already, then what I suggest you do is there's a link in the description which sends you to an assessment. Absolutely brilliant. When you do that assessment, it will tell you exactly the flavor of your patterns. What kind of armor do you wear? What do your loops look like? What does your pattern look like? And the reason that's important for you to know is that the only way you can catch yourself is that if you're aware about your patterns in the first place, if you know what to look out for so that you can catch yourself when it happens. For example, if you're somebody who has the peacemaker style of loop or the people pleaser style of loop or a different loop altogether, there are about 9 different flavors of this loop. When you know what your style is, it just becomes easier for you to catch yourself in the act. So the first step is, if you don't know what your type is or you don't know what your pattern is, then do the test, find out your pattern, and then remember to catch yourself in the act. That's step one. So step two is flip the role. What does that mean? So when you do something or when something triggers you at home or you catch yourself in a pattern, ask yourself the question, am I showing up as a partner here at home, or am I showing up as the boss, or am I showing up as a subordinate team member? Could be either, right? Either you could be ordering your partner around like the boss, or you might be taking orders like the subordinate, and you don't want to be in either one of those situations. And so when you flip the role, when you decide, okay, I'm not going to be the boss over here, I'm going to be the partner. I'm going to decide that I'm going to come from a space of connection, not from a space of control. And the last thing is just to claim that present moment, to claim your own presence. And what does that mean? What does that look like? When you flip the role and you realize that I'm going to come from this not as a boss or a subordinate, but as me. The only way you can be me is to become aware about what's going on inside of me. And then how does that relate with what's going on around me? What am I feeling right now? What does my partner feel like now? Where do we meet? Where do we have common ground? You cannot do that while trying to solve problems in your head. You cannot do that while you're complaining about the past or worrying about the future. The only way that you can be connected is to be here, now, with your partner, and all the scariness and the frightening reality of what the situation is right now. If you're fighting with your partner, fight. Fight now. Don't bring up the past, don't bring up the future. Tell him or her what you're feeling right now. If you feeling like there's a lack of intimacy, create that intimacy. And the first thing you can do is by acknowledging what's going on right now. Claim the present. This is the simplest, but probably the hardest part of the work that people have to do at home. And it's something that I help my clients with, because sometimes they need help. It's something that I regularly take my clients through interventions and processes, because even though it seems so simple, it's one of the most difficult things to practically exercise. It's frightening, it's scary to take your armor off in front of somebody who could hurt you. Because ultimately, the people that have the power to hurt us the most are the ones that are closest to us. So it's almost like a paradox. The only way you can get closer is if you take the armor off. But if you take the armor off, you risk getting hurt and maybe even destroying the relationship forever. But that's the price you pay right? That's the cost of connection. And that's where real intimacy begins, at the edge of vulnerability. When I started doing this, everything changed in my relationships. I was, as a default, I was always a guy, and a lot of guys have this pattern, right, that they solve problems. So, when a girlfriend or when a family member came to me and wanted to talk, I immediately went into problem solving mode. And I didn't realize that, when they were telling me about their life, they didn't want me to solve their problem. They just wanted to talk. They just wanted me to listen. And I could have just listened and nodded my head and been done with it, or give them solutions. But the truth is that there's a quality of presence that makes all the difference. And I don't know when, I don't know how, but when that snapped in place for me in my head, when I kind of tapped into that presence, the quality of the relationships that I had with friends, with family members, even the kind of relationships that I had at my work changed. And I cannot describe how supported, how loved, how seen I have begun to feel because of this practice. Here's the key takeaway: the same patterns that help you become successful at work will sabotage your relationships and your love life, unless you learn how to switch gears. So if you found value in this video and you want to get started with learning more about your patterns, what exactly runs you, what flavor of the pattern is it that you are demonstrating in your life, there is a link in the description. Go click on that link, do the assessment, and then come back here if you can on the comments. If you know what your pattern is, then write down what your pattern is. It'd be really good to hear from you. And also ask any questions that you might have related to human relationship dynamics in the workplace, at home, in love. Um, my goal over here is to give you as much as I can, to give you clarity, give you all the tools that I can to help you have amazing relationships. Because at the end of the day, the quality of relationships that you have determines the quality of your life. And finally, if you are looking for a great set of people to expand your network of relationships, to meet others who are also keen about learning about transformation and inner work and all of these things, then there's also a WhatsApp community link in the description that you can tap and join. It's completely free. And there, I'm there as well. So maybe we'll have a chance to interact. There's some amazing stuff that's going to be happening on that WhatsApp group, which you'll come to know when you join. Maybe have a chance to have an intervention one-on-one with me. That might happen as well. So I hope this has been helpful, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.